Oh Lord, please don't let it fall. Hi guys, this is Connie. It's Saturday morning and I just finished listening to Roommate Pod and I wanted to do a couple of responses. Side note, if you're sensitive or highly offended or easily offended, you're probably not going to want to listen to this podcast either. But anywho, what was I going to say? I totally, Megan Tonjes and Keith Batista, you are awesome, number one. Number two, I will not talk about that dress with the exception of the one tweet that I sent out. So, hashtag optical illusion. Let's just chalk it up to that. And remember Leonard Nimoy instead, because he was amazing. He was actually the first celebrity that I purposely followed on Twitter and was like, I want to know what that man knows. So that was my little personal thing to it. Rest in peace and live long and prosper. But in the podcast you mentioned like being really concerned about wanting to go to a doctor because you wanted to be treated like a normal human being and not seen like a weightist thing. And I completely understand and have a story to go with that. At one point in time, and I get it, there's some sort of like, I feel like maybe in doctors' minds that weight is an epidemic, like obesity, like they see it all the time and it's something that needs to be dealt with. So that's the first thing they try to like tackle as soon as you walk into the office. But it definitely can warp some doctors' minds, because my primary care physician at the time, that like she would harp on it all the time, and I was like, look, if I want to lose weight, I'm going to lose weight. If I want to make the effort, I'm going to take the effort. And probably the most jarring thing to me, because I'm not a big fan of trying to get surgery done, and that's my own personal opinion, but when she said, technically you could qualify for a surgery that will help you lose this weight, and I went home completely like, it broke my heart, because a part of me was like, I don't want to just go get a surgery done and get it fixed. I want to like make good life decisions towards being a happier, healthier me. I don't want to have an instant fix it, just go get surgery done and this will solve your problem. Yes, it might solve my problem in the future if it's something that I choose to do, but right now I would rather mentally recognize that when I eat healthier, which is something I am coming to a revelation of, I'm finding better, healthier alternatives to eat food. Yes, I will always love bread. Yes, I will always love junk food, but that needs to happen in moderation for me, and I can find healthy alternatives as opposed to putting myself at risk for surgery. That being said, that was not the story. The story I wanted to tell you was, at one point in time, my doctor was so fixated on your health problems are because of your weight that I walked in with a serious sinus infection. Like, anybody that knew me and knew the symptoms of a sinus infection knew I was suffering from a sinus infection, and all I needed was some antibiotics to try and kick it. I walked in and I explained that to the doctor, and she goes, oh, well, you have a sinus infection because you're overweight and obese. And I was like, no, doc, I'm pretty sure I have a sinus infection because I have a sinus infection, and it's got nothing to do with my weight. Anybody can suffer from a sinus infection, so. And obviously it must have made a difference, because she suddenly dropped the issue. She didn't make it a primary issue. She made it more of a secondary issue. Like, sometimes everybody goes through different seasons in life. Sometimes, for whatever reason, your body and your homeostasis can come out of balance and out of whack, and sometimes you need medication to correct that. If you'd have told me that when I was 16 years old, I would have completely been against it. But now, as an older human being that understands that, sometimes your body's missing something, and you add that to it, and your body starts to respond. It usually will take on, like, you don't have to be on medication for your entire life, but sometimes you need something that's going to, tell all of those chemicals in your body to kickstart and say, oh, this is how I'm supposed to function. So don't be afraid of being on a medication for your entire life. Don't be afraid to continue to seek the help that you need until you get an answer that you are at peace with, because you will find a doctor who says, okay, regardless of your weight, everything else, your blood work looks good, you're healthy, there might be this or there might be that, and we can explore these options with these kind of, this or that. Sometimes you can do it with whole foods, but that can get just as pricey as medication. There are lots of different things that I'm not completely aware of, but I did have that story and I did feel your pain, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that you had somebody who dared to tell you, oh, can you hold this down where we don't have the right blood pressure? You're like, everybody's got a blood pressure cuff for bigger sized arms, and I also have to get that done myself, and I've never been asked to hold my own blood pressure down. If anything, they tell you just relax, uncross your legs, it might mess with your readings. So these people don't sound right, and I'm trying to remember if there was something else I wanted to say. You're awesome. Someday I might be able to Patreon the podcast, but until then I'll just send you stuff in your P.O. box occasionally and do things like this. So I'm curious to know what other people had to say about it, but that was where I was at, and thank you so much for your podcast. Please do it on a more regular basis. I love it. And I don't want to just have to keep binge watching. Now that I'm like caught up, I want to be able to, every week I check in with this or I check in with that. I know that I can get used to seeing it every week. So please make it more regular. We love you. Bye.